In this video, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into lists. Now, I've set up a couple of lists here just to give an example of like a high score and the high score with someone's initials. So this high score houses the scores themselves, and this high score, high INT, houses the initials of the person getting the high score. So the first thing that we can do, we know that we can run this and print these out just by calling the list name. But the first thing we can do with these lists is we can append the list. So if we want to add a high score, the way we would do that is we would call the list name high score dot append, and then in the brackets we would put in what we want to add to the score. Now it's going to add it to the end of the list. So if we're adding to the high score, let's say that we're going to add a score of 987. And then we're going to print the high score out again. So I'm just going to copy this print statement. And we can see the first time it prints it out, it prints it out just like we hard coded it here. But then the second time we see that the 987 is added to the end of the list. So we can insert in the list. So for instance, if we want to do another addition to the high score, we're going to go high score dot insert, and in these parentheses we're going to add two different parameters. The first parameter is where we want to insert it. So we're just going to put 1, and then we're going to put what we want to add. So let's add 000 just so we can see where it's at. And again, I'm going to copy this print statement, and we can see that it added 0 to the number 1 index. Remember, our index is 0, starts with 0, and then number 1 is actually the second spot, so it added it to that second spot there. This is the index. This first number here is the index where we're going to add it, and then the number after that, or the string after that, whatever we're going to add to the list, is the second thing. So now we can remove. We're going to go high score, and let's remove zero. And we're going to print this out again. So we can see that in this last printed statement here, our 0 was removed. We can clear our list by calling the list and dot clear, and that's going to clear the entire list so that we don't have any data in that list. And a really neat function, especially with like high scores, is we can pop an element out of a list. And the way that works is we call the list and dot pop, and what this does is this removes the last item on the list. So if you had this high score list going on and you wanted to remove the last score that was on the list so that you could put a new list, or excuse me, a new piece of data in there, you could do that. So when we run that, we can see that this 987 was popped off of the end. It was removed from the end. I'm going to clean up this for our next one. The next thing that we can do with lists is we can print a range of our list. So when we print, and we're going to call our list this time, let's do the high INT, which is our initials up here, and we're going to print a range of these. So we're going to print from index 1 up to but not including 4. So we should get, remember this is 0, 1, 2, 3, but it will not print index 4, which is a ZXY. And we can see that we got these 3 initials right here, but it did not print the last one that we put on here. So it's up to but not including this last one. We can count and see how many items we have in a list. So print int dot count, and this is actually counting how many times one specific thing is in the list. So we'll need to add CFG. So it's going to tell us how many times CFG is in this list. So if we were to add CFG again, run the same code, we see that it changes it to 2 because it's in the list twice there. Alright, a couple of our things we can do with our list. Let's take our high score and we're going to sort, and then we'll print it again. So what this does is this sorts it in numerical order from least to greatest. This also works with alphabetical order as well. So if we sorted our high INT list, it would sort it alphabetically. And one thing to keep in mind with that is that uppercase and lowercase do matter. So it's going to sort uppercase and lowercase differently. We can reverse the order. So instead of sort, we can reverse our order. You can see that it's reversed the original order. So 724 is first, then 912, all the way down to 1000 is last now instead of first. And the last thing that we can do is we can set our high score 1, and this is copying the list, and that's simply highscore.copy, and that makes a copy of this high score list in case we want to manipulate it, bring it back at a later date. So if we copy that, print high score 1, we see we actually have 2 lists that are exactly the same now. So if we needed to sort or amend this particular list, this first list, we still have a copy of the old list that we originally had. I hope this helps with lists. There's a lot of other things that you can do with lists, but this should get you started on your next project.